Welcome back to another explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're going to unpack something that most of us do every single day without a second thought. You walk into a coffee shop, order your latte, hover your phone over that little black plastic terminal, it beeps, and you walk right out. It feels like pure magic, doesn't it? But beneath that seemingly simple tap is a wild labyrinth of cutting-edge cryptography, hardware isolation, and global network routing. Today, we're going to reveal the fascinating hidden mechanics that happen when you tap your phone to pay.
Okay, let's dive into this because I know exactly what some of you are probably thinking. It feels inherently risky, right? You're beaming your hard-earned financial data through the invisible airwaves of a crowded grocery store. There's this persistent myth out there that mobile wallets are somehow less secure than physical cards just because they exist in the digital ether. Well, today, we are going to completely shatter that myth. We're going to look at the reality of mobile wallet security and prove exactly why your phone is exponentially safer than any piece of plastic sitting in your wallet right now.
Here is our roadmap for today. Number 1, the flaw of plastic cards. 2, tokenization and hiding your number. 3, the secure element chip. 4, the tap and dynamic cryptograms. And finally, number 5, clearing the payment safely. Let's start right in with section 1. The flaw of plastic cards and what's known as the shared secret risk.
To really appreciate why mobile payments are so brilliant, we first have to understand why traditional cards are, well, terribly flawed. When you use a traditional magnetic stripe or chip card, you're relying on exposing your actual, real-life 16-digit credit card number. In the fintech world, this is called the PAN, or primary account number. And the problem is, this is a permanent, static number. When you swipe your card, that permanent number is shared entirely with the merchant's checkout terminal. That means if a hacker breaches that store's database or if a criminal places a physical skimmer over the card slot, they can steal your real 16-digit number and instantly start making fraudulent purchases. Contrast that with the digital wallet. Mobile wallets use a virtual proxy called a DPAN, or device primary account number. Your real PAN is completely hidden, and the merchant only ever sees the decoy.
Moving on to section 2, tokenization, hiding your number and creating the digital decoy. Contactless digital wallets like Apple Pay or Google Wallet never share, store, or honestly even know your actual credit card number. Instead, they use a highly secure process called tokenization. This is an EMV co-compliant standard where the payment network, so think Visa, MasterCard, or Amex, swaps your real 16-digit PAN for that unique randomized proxy number we just talked about, the DPAN. By doing this, mobile wallets completely eliminate the risk of hackers stealing your permanent card number from a compromised store database. Basically, they can't steal what was never there to begin with. Let's move to and see how this builds. So how exactly is this digital decoy built when you first set up your phone? Step 1 is push provisioning. You take a picture of your card, and those details are encrypted and sent to Apple or Google's servers. They decrypt the data just enough to identify your issuing bank and your payment network. Step 2, token generation. This happens entirely off-site. The payment network's token service provider intercepts your real card number, creates the virtual placeholder DPAN, maps the two together in a highly guarded database called the token vault, and then completely discards your raw card details from the active stream. Finally, step 3 is secure hardware injection. That newly minted DPAN is sent back to your device. But, and this is key, it doesn't just sit in your photo gallery or your Notes app, it goes somewhere incredibly special.
Which brings us to section 3, the secure element chip, the vault on your phone.
Your phone literally contains a true physical fortress protecting your financial identity. The DPAN is saved exclusively inside the secure element. This is a dedicated physical tamper-resistant microchip that is completely isolated within your device's near-field communication, or NFC hardware. I really want you to listen to how isolated this is. The DPAN is never stored in your phone's standard operating system. It is never accessible by the regular apps you download. It is never saved on Apple or Google servers, and it is never backed up to your iCloud. Even if your phone gets completely hijacked by malware, that malware simply cannot breach the physical hardware walls of the secure element chip. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how you actually open that vault. When you go to pay, you scan your Face ID or Touch ID. A lot of people worry that a picture of their face or their fingerprint is being beamed to the merchant or up to some random cloud server. It absolutely isn't. Your biometrics are processed completely locally inside a separate chip called the Secure Enclave. The Secure Enclave acts simply as a physical hardware switch. When it verifies it's really you, it just sends a local authorization signal to wake up the secure element chip, basically telling it to prepare for a payment transmission.
All right, Section 4, the TAP, Dynamic Cryptograms. This is the climax of our journey, the exact millisecond your phone actually touches the checkout terminal. When you tap, something incredible happens through a process called magnetic induction. The checkout terminal is emitting this small magnetic field. When your phone's NFC antenna enters that invisible field, it couples with it, literally drawing power right out of the terminal to create a secure, invisible data link. Crazy, right? Once connected, the secure element uses a cryptographic key embedded deep in its hardware to generate a dynamic cryptogram. This is a transaction-specific, one-time security code. This unique mathematical signature changes with every single tap you make. Why is this so absolutely brilliant? Because even if a hacker is standing right next to you with a high-tech antenna and intercepts that wireless transmission right out of the air, the data is entirely useless to them. That cryptogram is one-time use. If they try to use it even a second later for a different purchase, the global banking network will instantly reject it. So the crucial point is how this sequence fundamentally isolates and protects you. Let's walk through it one more time. 1. The biometric release wakes up the chip locally. 2. The secure element generates that one-time cryptogram. 3. Merchant isolation. The terminal receives a package containing only the decoy, DPAN, and that one-time cryptogram. The merchant system is completely isolated from your real identity and your real bank account number. The terminal just takes this encrypted package and blindly passes it up the chain to their bank.
Which leads us perfectly into our final section, clearing the payment safely. How does the bank actually give the merchant their money if they don't even have your real credit card number? This timeline is staggering when you realize it all happens in the literal blink of an eye. At just 1 millisecond, the merchant terminal receives the NFC transmission and forwards the DPAN and cryptogram to their acquiring bank, who routes it straight to the payment network, like Visa or MasterCard. By 100 milliseconds, the payment network's computers use advanced mathematics to verify the signature of the dynamic cryptogram, ensuring it was genuinely signed by your specific phone's physical secure element chip. At 300 milliseconds, once it's validated, the network looks up your DPAN in its highly guarded off-site token vault. It acts as the ultimate translator, swapping that proxy number back to your real credit card PAN. And by 500 milliseconds, they securely forward your real number to your issuing bank, say Chase or Bank of America, who quickly checks your balance and authorizes the funds. All of that in half a second. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate relief and safety guarantee of the entire system. If you take away just one thing from this explainer, make it this. The merchant terminal is notified of success without ever holding, seeing, or processing your real 16-digit credit card number. The entire transaction loop is closed, the merchant gets paid, you get your coffee, and your permanent financial data never once touch their vulnerable cash register. We've seen the hardware vaults, the local biometric switches, the tokenization, and the dynamic cryptograms that all fire perfectly within half a second just to keep your money perfectly safe. It really is an absolute triumph of modern engineering and cryptography. So I have to leave you with this question. Knowing all of the invisible magic operating under the hood to protect your data, will you ever choose to swipe a vulnerable piece of plastic again? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I will see you in the next one.